Question 23, Part A. Explain what is meant by a stratified sample. Right, stratified sample basically means that the sample is in the same proportions as the population. For example, if you're going to ask a school, if there was a school of 1,000 people and you wanted to ask 100 of them a question, let's say of those 1,000 people there were 600 boys and 400 girls, and let's say we're going to only ask a sample of 100, well, if it was a stratified sample, you'd have to ask the same proportion of boys and girls as there are in the actual school. So in the actual school, if there's 600, I can't remember what I said, but let's say 600 boys, 400 girls, well, in the sample, you'd have to ask 60 boys and 40 girls because it's in the same proportion. So what we'll say here is, so a stratified sample means the sample is in the same proportion, or has the same proportions as the population. Remember, the population is the total amount of people, and the sample is the number of people you decide to ask whatever question you're going to ask. So the table shows information about the ages of people living in a village. So age group under 21, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, over 60. There's all these people there. So this is the population. Mrs. Parrish carries out a survey of these people. She uses a sample size of 50 people stratified by age group. So Mrs. Parrish is only going to ask 50 people. There's a lot more than 50 people in the village, but she's going to ask 50 people. Work out the number of people over 60 years of age in the sample. Okay, so in the population, you can see over 60 years, there's 314. Well, if you add all that up, total, so I'm going to do 72 plus 90 plus 123 plus 314. So the total is 599 people. Let me just check that again because it seems a weird number. Yep, okay, all done right. So we want the same proportion of over 60s in our sample as there are in the actual village. So in the village, the fraction of over 60s is 314 over 599. So that's the proportion of over 60s in the population. So we want that proportion of our sample. So if you want that proportion of our sample, which is 50, you need to do 314 over 599, and then you need to multiply that by 50, because it means you're getting 314 599ths of 50. So that gives us the answer. So 314 divided by 599, which gives the same thing, times by 50 is equal to 26.2. So round it to the nearest whole person, 26 people are going to be over 60 years of age in our sample.